Hey guys, so you know by now that or you don't, I actually help people become software engineers, right? And part of that, there's a lot of things going on, and I really just want to be able to help. So I'm just going to start releasing these videos unedited just to be able to give you my real raw thoughts. You're going to hear me make some mistakes just to be authentic with you guys and, just to help out. There's a lot of perfection out there. And what you start to realize is when you do things, when everyone does things, there's a lot of imperfection, especially with our code. There's so much imperfection going on within our code, right? But when we compare on the YouTube or the tutorials that we're watching, their code is perfect. Their code is immaculate, flawless, but it doesn't work for us. Why is that the case? Well, one thing is when we're making these courses, right, for online or to teach you guys, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of bugs that we actually come across when we're preparing, and we figure out what's going on. Like we troubleshoot all of those bugs. And then when we're teaching it, it's like, hey, this might pop up, right? This might pop up for you. And as the person receiving the course, it might seem like, whoa, this dude knows everything. He's like amazing. And sure, we know everything in that context to be able to help you, but that's because we made those mistakes behind the scenes when we were prepping, right? And it's like anything in life, when you're prepping, you're going to realize like, oh, I need to learn this, or I need to brush up on this. I need to make sure I got, my T's crossed and my I's dotted, if you will. And that's just normal. But when we're learning, and I've been very guilty of this when I was going in my learning journey, there were so many things that I just thought was, how do you say, wrong with me. Like I thought I was like had so many things wrong. Like why are they doing things perfectly and it's just not working for me? My computer's slow, or is it just me being slow? Or I have no idea. Am I not like picking up what they're putting down? And then as I became a software engineer professionally and started getting paid, I realized that that's just a common thing. That's just normal. And honestly, it's a lot to do with how it's being perceived in social media and on YouTube here, everything like that. It's like, hey, it's flawless. So we expect flawlessness, but that's never the case. And so some things that I want to share with you in terms of becoming a software engineer, the journey that it takes if you're currently in a career and you're trying to transition from that career, is super important for you to have that time management, right? Time management is super important. No matter what course you go to, no matter how much money you spend, that alone will not make you a software engineer. It's about managing your time effectively. That's why a lot of people will go to boot camps so that their time will be managed. You're spending a lot of time, a lot of money to really sit in a seat. You're paying to sit in a seat to be managed with your time, right? And they're going to present materials that is available online for free, or for much much cheaper of a cost, but effectively you're paying to have your time managed. And so being able to manage time for yourself is extremely, extremely valuable. And when you become a software engineer, you have to know how to manage your time effectively. If you're just flying by without a plan, without a schedule, it becomes incredibly difficult to meet your task. You might have a sprint if you're doing like an agile approach. And if you guys are wanting to know more about like how it is to actually live like a software engineer, just let me know. Like who are we working with? What's the strategy? What's the concepts in terms of like producing code, or what's the team dynamics in which we're working? You know, when does a plan? How does it even work? What's the first step of the process? Let me know, and I definitely we can make a video in that. But as a software engineer, when you're sitting down and you have your objective, you have your task that you have to do, and then you have all the other meetings that are scheduled, and you have a deadline for that task, and it's probably odds are you're probably not going to know how to do that task. Usually the case is you're most likely not going to know, and you're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to effectively plan your time. If you're working from home, you're really going to have to be able to separate your work life and your family, right? You're gonna have to be able to do those types of things as well. And so you need to be able to come up with a system that works best for you. And now that works. Once is there's not one system that fits all, right? There's a whole bunch of different systems that help a whole bunch of different types of people, but the first thing is figuring out what works and knowing that you need to be able to manage that time. Because if you don't manage that time, not having a plan is planning to fail. So I definitely recommend having that plan. Now there's some practical things that we can do. So I got here, I got some notes here just to make sure, I am going off the top, but I do want to be able to give additional value. So you want to be able to, set some goals, right? Daily goals, probably 3 goals. Try to shoot for 3 goals, right? Shoot 3 goals down. What's the biggest one that you want to complete? It can be called as your big rock or your frog of the day that you got to eat. Like, who wants to eat a frog? But if you did, if you had to eat a frog every single day, when would you eat the frog? Ideally, just like first thing in the morning, get it over with, because if not, then you're going to be thinking about it throughout the rest of your day. And usually that's kind of like how we go with the goals, right? If there's something that we know we have to do and we don't do it early, then the whole day we're thinking about it. And if we get tired, like obviously as the day progresses, we're going to get more and more tired. And if you're working, oh my gosh, you're going to be more and more beat up, right? And you're tired of the BS that comes with the job that you're currently working, right? And you just want to get out of it, but now you're stressed and you're beat up, and then you got to teach yourself how to code on top of it, right? It's so overwhelming, or at least it can become overwhelming. So how do we navigate all of those waters? Well, let's set up these 3 goals and let's try to do at least the most important one early as possible in our day, right? And knock that out. We can use an app like Google Keep if you're on Android, or Notes if you're just on iOS, or just use some paper, right? Get a little notepad and write it down. The other thing is you can also have a little timer on the clock, on the counter, right? And then have like 25 minutes of just work intensive, like focused work for 25 minutes, and then have a 5-minute break. Walk around, walk your dog, whatever the case may be. And then use that as a way to keep your time. If you stop working for a couple minutes, pause that timer, right? And actually only have it for 25 minutes. Okay. And the other thing is you really want to just minimize the distractions around you. There's a whole bunch of different apps that you can do, just like minimize like the websites, because you're going to be working on the computer, right? Also try to minimize if you have little kids. I know it can be hard. They're like their little face and all this others. They're so cute, and you want to be with them and spend all the time with them, to spend time with your significant other if you have them, right? It's just natural part of us that what we want to do. But we need to live like no one wants to live right now, so that we can live like no one can live later, right? So we need to be able to do those sacrifices in the short term so that we reap the benefits in the long term. That's really truly it sucks a little bit in a sense, but our families will be so grateful that we did it. Me ourselves will be so grateful that we did it. And for me, I was super grateful that I was able to do that, put a lot of time aside and sacrifice and organize my time effectively with these tips to be able to become a software engineer and to be able to change literally everything in my life, right? And ultimately, I really want to be able to give that value back to you guys. So if you like this, there's going to be a video. There's going to be a PDF below, and a link to it. It'll be free. Just organizing, these tips. There's going to be some other strategies as well that's attached. But I got to go on a call real soon, so I got to prep for that. But I will love to hear your advice. Anything, tips that work for you guys, balancing out, your family and your work-life balance, and what's some efficient ways, techniques for you guys when you're learning. And then also, what do you think about the format of just me like just speaking casually to you guys, instead of trying to make sure everything is polished and having all this B-roll that I feel like is really truly unnecessary. Like, what happened to just being able to be candid and just like speak authentically, right? Everyone's trying to be like Mr. Beast, or everyone's trying to, I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot of like chat GPT and a whole bunch of like flashing different scenes. Am I crazy for this? Uh, let me know. And curious to take, was this a horrible listen? Did it hurt your ears? Let me know. All right, guys. Really want to be able to help you. Let me know. Bye.